So before we jump into the meat of season 6, I just want to share one more video on the house build related to a topic which I'm calling perhaps the most controversial aspect of building a house in Japan. Stay tuned. So I'm doing a lot of wrapping and strapping. You see me all over the sides of the house, and it involves, several specific processes, none of which are too hard except for when I'm working in those inaccessible places. But essentially we're putting on the vapor barrier, the outside Tyvek type of material. We're tacking it down with staples. We're taping the seams and sealing the holes with staples. Then we're putting the wooden slats, battens, on to further hold it down, as well as to become nailing surfaces when we put the siding on. So it's a pretty straightforward process. But part of this wrapping and strapping is, as I've just said, the sealing, the taping and the sealing of the holes. And that's controversial. So I'm doing this a little bit ass backwards. I got ahead of myself yesterday and I wanted to get the battens, the wooden battens on before the wind was picking up. So I wanted to get them on as soon as possible, and I forgot that, I got to do the taping. I was also focusing on the sealant, and actually I thought the sealant was going to be really difficult. I thought it was going to be just problematic looking for all the staple holes, but it was really easy. When I was stapling, I put all the staples typically just on the dotted line. So all I had to do was scan the dotted line, and I tended to group them in threes rather than boom, 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 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. And so really sealing all of these staple holes was dead easy. You can see here at the base of the wooden construction, at the top of the foundation, I've got what in Japanese is called packing, the plastic 20 mil thick barrier between wood and concrete. Worldwide, this is a common best practice. I've learned about it as I've started to build, but in Japan, this particular one is all perforated. And that allows for airflow because Japanese houses, by tradition, demand constant airflow, especially in areas under floors. And because this is the bottom of the house, the floor will be at this level, so ventilation is required under the floor, again, according to Japanese traditional thought. But you can see here that I'm sealing that up, okay? With the butyl tape, I'm going around and sealing every opening. Using the sealant as well on all of the staple holes further seals the house completely. In Japanese building, traditionally, and I think it's mainly due to the high humidity in the summer, and this summer has been a prime example of that, they want ventilation. And that means houses traditionally are full of ventilation, full of gaps, full of openings. And in the summer, traditionally, that makes the house cooler, yes. But in the winter, it's awful. It's freezing cold. And this isn't just a historical, old-time Japanese house type of event. My house in town, which was built in 2000, is built in this fashion. It is a traditional post and beam type of structure, no nails used in the construction. I wasn't part of this build. I bought it from the original owner. And it is really cool in the summer and drafty as heck in the winter. It is awful in the winter. Every single window, every door, every opening, every floor, every ceiling has an opening in it. So it is awash in cold drafts in the winter. Impossible to heat consistently. As soon as you turn off the heater, within 1 minute, 2 minutes, you're cold. We spent the best part of 2.5 days getting just a little more than half of the house wrapped and strapped. And two sides, the west side and the north side, are done and dusted. No more follow-up there. I've got 2 days, because today and tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, rain starts for the first time in 5 weeks. And who knows what it's going to be like. Anyway, I've got to set up a new scaffolding technique, because on the east side I've got no scaffolding. On the back I was able to muddle through it with no scaffolding, because the slope is the elevation is much higher up there. There's less wall to cover. But on these two faces, I've got to come up with something new. So I'm going to try some new tools. They're not new. I've used them. I've had them for years. But I haven't used them yet on this house. So let's give this setup a try. I've watched a lot of videos. I watch a lot of YouTube, a lot of Western construction, Eastern construction, and almost always in the Western construction videos, they talk about sealing the house. This is the modern thinking of controlling your interior environment. I think a viewer sent me a video from Matt Risinger, who talked about this in detail.
You're building a new house, and if you've been following my methods, you're going to be building a much tighter house, and that's a good thing. We don't want that air leaking in and bringing with it its pollen, depositing its condensation in your walls. You want to build a tight house, and you want to ventilate on your terms.
And the thinking goes that you absolutely need to have a hermetically sealed house in order to allow you to control the interior temperature, humidity, atmosphere. You need ventilation to avoid mold and rot, according to the Japanese thinking. When you get inside and you start sealing up all these places, especially in a country where you have an average humidity of 70 to 80%, and in the winter still a dry day is 40 to 50% relative humidity. If you lock that air in place, you risk mold and rot. Years ago, while I was still in the process of designing this building, I reached out to friends and acquaintances about the aspect of sealing up a house. And this one architect told me, and she was adamant about it, Japanese houses have to be fully ventilated, have to be essentially blowing in the wind in order to avoid the mold and the rot. And I said, but what about the convenience stores? You know, Japanese convenience stores, or any modern building for that matter, they aren't ventilated. You don't walk around a convenience store seeing gaps in windows and gaps in doors. They're hermetically sealed. And she said, yes, but they are very expensively air conditioned. Meaning the air is being conditioned actively and expensively. I think her insinuation was that the average homeowner cannot afford to do that. It's prohibitively expensive to condition your air 24/7 like a convenience store does. When it's your own home, when you're living there 24/7, you're already actively conditioning the air in your home. I mean, we've had our air conditioners going in our house now since June 15th. Not a break. We do not turn them off. June 15th till probably, beginning of October anyway this year. And then in the winter months, because as I said, you can't keep a room warm once you turn off the heat, we keep every room that we're in warm in the winter, all winter long. That's what I'm shooting for, actually. I'm trying to emulate the convenience store effect in Japan. I want to actively control my environment. I want to condition my air to my liking all the time. idea where this cut is going to go. I don't have my belt for strapping myself in. I'm just holding on with my left hand here, so I'm not going to do any two-handed work or hands-free work, let's call it. But I need to tape all of this, trim this excess piece to fit, and I need to be up here hanging from this beam, I think. Now, while I am trying to thwart tradition in building my new house, I'm not trying to thwart the law. And there's a law in Japan that states you have to have ventilation, 24/7 open ventilation in your house. It's part of our drawings, and in fact I think there's 2 fans that are required. One fan will be in here above the kitchen, or in the kitchen, and the other fan will be on the other side, probably in the bath area. These are required by law. I think 2019, or sometime recently anyway, they changed the law to make it mandatory to have 24/7 ventilation in the house. So even though I'm going to have a tightly sealed enclosure here, there is still going to be the legal 2 required vents 24/7 changing the air all the time. I don't know how that affects the effect that I'm looking for, but we'll see, we'll see. Come on, calm down. Well, this wrapping and strapping exercise is almost done. We've got 2 more rows at the very top, the hardest rows to get in place. I've got 2 ropes up for the outside beams, and I can't get a rope to that central inside beam, and my ladder isn't tall enough to get me up there. I can't get a rope up there now because I've only got 2 ropes, 2 good climbing ropes that I trust, and both of them are going to get me to the sides. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get up there and tack in one side, leave the paper hanging, get up the other rope, then grab the paper, tack it in, and hopefully do that twice. Okay, I've got the other side secured. I don't know how much of it I filmed, and I've crawled up this other side now, and I have the roll of paper attached to this string. So I pull this up here, I hope. It's all, the strings are getting all interconnected. Okay, there. Okay, wow. Get over there, but I can get there once through the window just below it. I have no idea how to get that bit. I guess if I have a rope on this one and a rope on that one and use them as pulleys and have myself hooked to the center one, I can lower myself and raise myself and pull myself to the left or to the right. But I need one more rope and I don't have one. I got most of it done. I couldn't reach the very topmost peak. It's protected by the eaves, so I'm not really worried about it. I'll get to it at some point. But the house is wrapped and strapped. We'll see how this all works out in the future. The inside looks like a tornado has struck. The outside's pretty messy too. So rain's coming tonight. I think what I'll do is I'll pop back in tomorrow while it's raining and clean up the inside. Just spend a day unwinding, not thinking about the house, and getting the place in order. Next Monday, I've got a helper starting, a pro who knows what he's doing, and we're going to start working on things like I talked about, season 6 kickoff. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for hanging around, everybody. Have a great week.